And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're going to do this?
It's wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight.
For that, Floyd is the best fighter, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
In response to Floyd Mayweather calling out Terence Crawford, Stephen A. Smith says that the current state of boxing limits some fighters and exaggerates others. He says that Crawford should get more credit for his skills and accomplishments. Stephen says that Mayweather is getting old and isn't as good as he used to be. He said that the story should be about how dominant Crawford was, not about comparisons or talk that aren't fair and take away from how great he really is.
Think about what he had to say about you when he said, you're way better than Floyd Money Mayweather. I know you heard that he said that. What thoughts came to your mind when you heard that Canelo Alvarez said that about you?
Hey, that's a big compliment. He's been in the ring with both of us, so he would know, from his own experience. A lot of people, they can say this, they can say that, but there's only, a few people that can say they've been in the ring with Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather and give their own.
Shane Mosley said that Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather are both very good boxers, but Crawford is naturally bigger. It was said that Crawford's size and strength give him an edge that Floyd never had at middleweight. Mosley did, however, like how technically sharp and accurate Mayweather was. Floyd was able to beat bigger opponents because he was good at defense and had a high ring IQ. Crawford, on the other hand, doesn't have to worry about this as much. Mosley says that Mayweather's legacy is built on skill and flexibility, not on how much bigger or stronger Crawford is.
Who you think's better out of those two? Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually moving weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. Like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
In an interview with Ariel Helwani, Terence Crawford reminded fans that Canelo Alvarez is the only one who can really decide. As someone who has fought Mayweather and Crawford, Canelo has a valid point of view. Terence pointed out that the two of them had fought in very different situations. Floyd fought Canelo when he was young and had little experience, but Crawford fought him when he was an experienced 168-pound king. Despite being much bigger than his opponent, Crawford won, showing how strong and skilled he is. Crawford thinks that Canelo's statement that he felt more powerful from him only supports the idea that excellence is linked to different times.
It's cooking right there, because there was this prevailing thought that the smaller man always loses to the bigger man. This was repeated time and again throughout the fight week. And he proved that that's not the case. Again, I hope you all recognize this was a 168-pounder fighting a 147-pounder. He had one fight at 154 last August. Was the undisputed king at 147, beating Errol Spence in July of 2023. Came back the following year. Fought Israel Madrimov at the soccer stadium in Los Angeles, and then did everything he could to get this fight, played his cards the right way, and there he was, standing face to face against Canelo Alvarez, who did seem for the longest time like he didn't want to take this fight, and because there was great risk involved, because not only is Terence Crawford one of the all-time best fighters in the history of the sport, he's smaller than him, so a lot of people will be like, oh, of course you're going to beat the smaller guy, right? But I think Canelo recognized, yeah, he might be smaller, but he's that damn good.
When Floyd Mayweather fought Canelo, his trainer Greg Hackett took a different method. He stressed that Mayweather was a complete boxer. Hackett says that Floyd's style at that time was polished, disciplined, and unwavering, which is different from Crawford's method, which is more wild and aggressive. Hackett said that Crawford counts on explosive defenses and being able to change his plans. But Floyd was very good because he always did everything perfectly. Hackett is aware of Crawford's achievements, but he thinks Mayweather's performance against Canelo was the best ever.
The Floyd Mayweather that Canelo Alvarez fought.
Yeah.
In the last version of Terrence Crawford that we've seen in the ring.
Yeah.
Who's the better fighter, Jay?
Of course you got to give it to Floyd. Floyd at that time. Ben, what's up? Floyd at that time versus Canelo was in total confidence. His skill set, his IQ. You know what I'm saying? Everything he do, he was just a complete fighter that night. But I feel like was up against a lot because he was fighting a guy that we knew something about, but we ain't know too much about. People don't understand how much a fighter could be thrown off by what he don't know. And the reason it throws you off is because you're actually learning about the fighter while you're in there. That's what Bud went up against that night. That's why he didn't look so great. To me, I could be wrong, but he didn't look so great to me because he was learning a lot about Madrimov while he was in there with Madrimov.
Max Kellerman looked at the ways that the two fighters' paths were different. He also said that Floyd became very picky with his opponents after he left the lightweight category and made sure that every fight was planned. Crawford, on the other hand, has taken a different method. He often fights anyone who is available without thinking twice. Crawford now seems more daring and willing to take risks than Mayweather, who carefully matches up with his opponents. Kellerman said that this difference doesn't take away from Floyd's greatness, but instead shows how determined Crawford is to test himself across classes and against tough opponents.
It's wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time.
Oh, yes.
That makes a difference to people.
Crawford said very clearly that he thinks he would beat Floyd Mayweather in his prime. This wasn't said to be rude. It was said because he believed in his own abilities. Crawford respects Mayweather's skills, but he thinks that his own adaptability, strength, and ability to take different stances will win the fight. He doesn't want to take away from Floyd's achievements. Instead, he wants to embrace the competitive spirit that makes boxing great.
Who do you think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me.
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd? You know, that's one of my favorite fighters. But yeah, nah.
Jeff Mayweather, Floyd's uncle, told fans that Floyd was already past his best when he fought Canelo. He was slower, older, and not as sharp as the version that ruled like classes. Even so, Floyd beat Canelo thanks to his skill and speed. Jeff thinks that this fact is forgotten when people compare Floyd's win over Crawford's win over Canelo. His point is that the situation is important. Floyd was losing steam while Crawford was still at the top of his game, which made it hard to make straight comparisons.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience. He still took him, into deep waters. So
What was Canelo? What, 20 something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
man, that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people.
How you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you're at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose? I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, so, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
I mean, don't you? I mean,
make himself look like he did something great.
According to Stephen A. Smith, Crawford's win over Canelo was one of the most entertaining fights in recent memory. He praised Crawford for beating a much bigger opponent even though he was thought to be smaller and weaker. Stephen A. thought this fight showed not only how talented Crawford was, but also how he could put on a show for the crowd. He said that boxers like Crawford are very important because they add skill and excitement to each fight, making them unique.
70,482 people showed up for this fight. But the biggest props of the night goes to Terence Crawford, who did not disappoint. He was supposed to be the smaller man. He was supposed to be the weaker man. He was supposed to be the man that was going to spend the entire night on his bicycle, running for his damn life because Saul Canelo Alvarez was coming his way. That is not what happened. What happened instead, ladies and gentlemen, was a masterclass in boxing by Terence Crawford. Now, to me, the fight, some people were saying it was a severely lopsided and stuff like that. I'm not going for that. I'm not feeling that at all. It wasn't like that at all, okay? I had the fight 5-4 in favor of Terence Crawford after 9 rounds. It could have gone either way. And then he basically put on a boxing clinic over the last 3 rounds of the fight. And one rounds 10, 11, and 12. He used his jab. He kept his distance. He exchanged when necessary, which is something that I was scared to death of him doing. But he wasn't scared at all. Okay?
Another boxer fan said that Floyd Mayweather has the most fans around the world because he has never lost a fight and is a big draw on pay-per-view. But he thinks Terence Crawford, who is naturally a southpaw and can easily switch stances, might be more talented than him. Crawford's writing style is strange and hard to understand. He can direct fights in a way that reminds me of Mayweather, but with his own unique twist, thanks to his timing, accuracy, and calmness in the ring.
Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork? It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ. And not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
There are a lot of people in the boxing world who don't believe the constant similarities between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford. They say that Mayweather's dominance was one of a kind and can't be repeated, no matter how well Crawford does. They think Mayweather is the best boxer because of his defensive skills, ring smarts, and surgical accuracy in controlling fights. No other boxer can match these qualities. Some people, though, say that Crawford's rise is more due to talk than to reality. Fans want him to take over for Floyd Mayweather, even though Crawford and Mayweather have very different styles and job paths. Floyd was built on defensive skill and business sense, but Crawford liked to change positions, be aggressive, and take risks. These experts say that the similarities don't take into account these differences and are more about fan excitement than a real likeness, which makes the problem much bigger than it is.
You guys say it with me. Terence Crawford isn't Mayweather. I need you guys to sit here, grab somebody close to you, hold their hand, sit down, Say it with me. Terrence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarities they have. They both black. Terrence Crawford loves being hit. The guy likes to scrap. He likes to brawl. Terrence Crawford isn't even an Alexander Usyk. This guy loves being hit. He gets a thrill out of it. He sticks his tongue at his opponents when he is hit. Look at that. He enjoys that stuff. He tends to fight with low hands at times. He tends to exchange and brawl in the pocket, plant and fire, despite him having really great feet. Sometimes he likes to sit there and fire. You have Terrence Crawford beating Canelo, that's fine. I get you. But don't bring up Floyd Mayweather. No similarities. Floyd was way quicker, way sharper, better defensively, better reflexes, better timing, better IQ, better damn near everything. So say it with me one more time before we go. Terrence Crawford, we said it, is not Floyd Mayweather. There we go.
Before Crawford, no other boxer had ever been the undisputed king of 3 different weight classes. This made him stand out. This shows not only how flexible he is, but also how strong he is across a range of weight classes. Floyd never really united at welterweight or super welterweight. Crawford, on the other hand, has more titles than any other fighter. This accomplishment solidifies his place in history and sets his reputation apart from Mayweather's.
Terrence Bud Crawford defeats Canelo Alvarez and becomes the first ever male 3-division undisputed champion in boxing history. Thank God the judges got this one right. But wow, what a technical battle this was. It was a very close fight, but as it went on, Terrence was getting more and more comfortable in there. I remember in the 7th round, he even stood right in front of Canelo and fought him on the inside. Then in rounds 9 through 12, Crawford really started to open up on his flurries, gaining Canelo's respect. But the reason Crawford won this fight was because he was surprisingly durable at 168. He was able to do his thing because for the 36 minutes he was in there with Canelo, he was never really worried about what was coming back at him. I mean, Canelo just kept going to Terrence's right side of his body, and that stung a couple times, but those were the really only hard shots Canelo landed. Unfortunately, this is terrible for Canelo's legacy because the smaller men beat him up, and Canelo's kind of been cherry-picking his opponents the last couple years. But well-deserved for Terrence Crawford. It's gonna look amazing on his legacy. Boxing got it right tonight. On the biggest stage, with the most eyeballs, no controversy, just pure sport. And one of the best ever at the sport got it done tonight, Terrence Bud Crawford.
Crawford talked about how seriously he trained for the fight after beating Canelo. He also said that his whole training camp was focused on getting stronger and more fit so that he could handle the task of lifting up to 168 pounds. Crawford made it clear that he won because he carefully planned, worked hard, and believed in his own skills. It's clear from his summary that he is committed to making sure that every battle helps his career, which means that this age belongs to him.
Everybody was saying, the people that ran with that narrative convinced me that that was a narrative because I don't know the world as much. The thought of not having to lose weight is probably a happier, was it how was camp? Good camp?
It was great. You know, it wasn't a camp that we was focused on weight, you know, so we could just focus on my craft and focus on, you know, getting stronger, which we was already strong, you know, but, you know, we don't know what we up against. So, you know, we definitely want to make sure our body is prepared for whatever onslaught Canelo brings. So, of course, you know, we gonna, you know, cross our I's and dot our T's. And, you know, that's what we did in training.
You looked unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You looked absolutely unbelievable. Not that you ever don't, but it's just like, God, this guy looks like he is very prepared. And then as the fight continued, it felt that way. Turkey Al-Sheikh deemed you the fighter of the century. And obviously Ring Magazine and TKO come together to put this incredible event together. What has it been like, you know, with the modern world of boxing now, that Riyadh season has gotten involved? And obviously Dana and Nick Khan of the WWE. And it feels like anything is possible in the boxing world now. Is that the big takeaway that we should think after you and Canelo fight and have the success, or how do you kind of view it all?
Yeah, for sure. You know, anything is definitely possible. You know, when a lot of people kept saying that what I was trying to accomplish.
That's all for the video today. Watch out.